the Go Berserk with Email podcast with Navy nuclear engineer turned email software developer, Troy Broussard. So calm.
I'm pissed off, but I'm telling this because I am teaching you how to think differently and how to test differently.
So patient.
And Ben, that's put $500,000 into this company too, is being told that nobody can find the goddamn bug.
So charitable.
I'm going to start paying bounties every time somebody finds a bug. We're going to deduct $10 for that week.
So trusting.
Do not assume that anything works. Assume that nothing works.
And so sweet, it makes sugar taste just like salt.
I want to play into the sexiness of marketing automation, but I also want to slap the complexity of it.
The Go Berserk with Email podcast begins now.
Man, don't tell me you're going to do another sales pitch on this one, because like the last episode was all about one of your other products, bro. So you better bring some email.
Always be selling, baby. Always be selling. I am a salesman at heart.
I noticed that about you, though. I sit here and I take notes on Troy. I watch Troy work and I'm like, oh, Troy's pitching again. Good God, Troy's got another offer. Look at this. Do these people know that Troy is selling them right now? Dude, you're a monster.
Dude, I went to open up my bank account for my options company. By the time I got out of there, the guy's like, I can't trade because I'm prohibited by JP Morgan, but my daughter can. Can I get my daughter to sign up with you?
Get it?
Then I went to my chiropractor and he joined. I stopped at my chiropractor's on the way back from the trip and he signed up. So Ben just cracks up. He's like, dude, everybody you talk to is, I went to my broker. I went to their local branch. And by the time I got out of there, the guy's like literally filing for request of, to get authorized to be permissible to trade, because he has to get permission because of the fact that he works for the broker. There's disclaimers and stuff. So it's just funny. It's the way I am, man, and here's the thing, like, this is a life lesson. If you're going to be in business, you better be passionate about it. And if you expect somebody to follow, you better be willing to lead. And if you're not passionate enough that you can pull that off, then you're in the wrong damn business, man. And I don't care how good of an email writer you are. I don't care how good of an influencer. I don't care how good of a podcaster you are, Jonathan. If you don't like what you're doing, man, like, just bark at the moon. Quit wasting your time. Go find something else, because that passion has got to come through. If the passion overcompensates for everything else, like, you can have a face for podcasting like I have, and you can compensate with it with passion and energy and leadership and excitement. And that's something I think that too many people are out there trying to find the right tactical approach instead of strategically just embracing who they are and finding something they're passionate about, man. That's really
People want a piece of it, right? People want a piece of that. When you're that enthusiastic, people can't help but want a piece of that.
Absolutely. So, we talk about kind of odd and unforeseen benefits of email. If you are aligned with your passion, then you get all kinds of side benefit out of this. If you're not aligned with your passion, none of this is going to work. I'm just going to tell you that straight up, man. If you don't like doing it, none of it's going to work. Probably the biggest benefit of the practice of daily consistent email is you're going to get a lot of content. You're going to create a lot of content. And, there's a saying that I teach in all of my coaching programs. I think I have over 700 students under me at this point in different coaching programs. And, I teach the same saying applies to all of them, whether it's business coaching or trading coaching or whatever. Momentum begets momentum. And what that means is that you start taking some action, the action gets easier. And this is something that people don't really realize about daily email. When you force yourself into the discipline of writing consistently, it gets easier. And when it gets easier, especially if it's aligned with your passion, then you just become a content machine. And that ends up giving you such a library of content to pull from. It gives you all kinds of lessons that you learn through your emails and feedback. It creates this feedback loop into your business where you're testing ideas, you're floating ideas. I have teased the idea of products a year before I ever even start working on them, just to float the idea out in email to see the response that it gets. It's a testing ground, right? So one of the biggest benefits and just odd aspect of it is just the amount of content that you get from this. You can then roll up that content in all different kinds of crazy ways. So I'll give you an example. A couple of years ago, I wrote a book for my Memoirs of Mastery coaching program. And in the book, I really wanted to make it military themed. And so I did it about World War II, and specifically the invasion of Hawaii in World War II. And so I did the whole book about that, right? And themed in that way. And so I went through all of my emails, and I pulled up like 100 emails that I had written about flying, and anything, because I'm a private pilot, and I had written all kinds of just story selling kind of emails about pilots and the decision making and the process and what you go through, just all kinds of pilot stories. And I rolled all of those up and put it into a bonus chapter inside the military themed book, right? And I didn't have to go back and rewrite all that content. It was like 100 pages of bonus content that I had in that book, just because of the untapped, massive reserves of content that I have from doing so much email. And I think this is one of those huge benefits that people don't realize. When you write a lot of email, you're writing a lot of content, and you can bundle it up. You can create offers out of it. You can repurpose it and use it to create all kinds of products down the road. It's a very powerful benefit.
Hey, bro, I don't say this much, but I've got 5 books on Amazon, and they're all from emails I've written. Emails turned into articles, turned into chapters for books, all from writing email.
Yeah. Email is the tip of the iceberg on everything I do. All the products that I've created have come as a result of problems or opportunities or things that I've identified through the emails themselves or the replies from the emails.
Right? Yeah, man.
The other thing that is number 2 here is an odd or kind of unforeseen benefit. And I don't think many people will get this one. I'm going to say it. It's true. And in time, you'll perhaps embrace the truth of it. But if you let your ego get out of the way and really focus on serving your audience, what you will find is that you learn more than you teach. The best learners are teachers. The best teachers are learners, right? It's a symbiotic relationship. And I've always strive to, whenever I join any kind of program or anything that I subscribe to, I always strive to be the best student I can be, because I know as a teacher that those ideal students are the ones that you connect with the most, and they're the ones that always get the most out of it, right? So every time I come into something, I can be a really good student because I'm a good teacher. And when you're writing a lot of email, it makes you a better teacher. The practice, the consistency, the discipline, the massive amount of iterations, right? Everything is about iteration. And this is the crux of mastery. Mastery is iteration. As a perfect example, I wouldn't have been able to reverse my diabetes in 4 months if I wasn't doing monthly blood draws. Right? I can see the results of my eating and exercise habit changes and the results of the supplements. I can see the results in the blood work every single month because I'm good at getting a lot of iterations. If I went to a normal doctor, they would do one blood workup and they'd pat me on the butt and say, looks pretty good. We'll see in a year how things are looking. That would be the way normal medicine works. I don't do that. I subscribe to a concierge service. I pay a lot of money for it. I do, weekly monitoring and checking. I wear activity device to monitor my activity, my sleep habits, my exercise. I've got a CGM that's monitoring my glucose 24/7 and running it real time to an app. I'm running labs every single month and getting my blood drawn. Even my concierge doctor said, 3 months is good enough for that. And I said, no, we're doing it every month. And he's like, that's going to cost a few $100. I said, I don't care. Every month, I want to know that I'm making progress. I want to know that those supplements are doing something, and I want to be able to see it empirically in the data in my blood works. And by doing that, I've watched my A1C drop from 11.4 to 8.5 to 7.0 to 6.1 to now heading under 6. And I've been able to do that by aggressively monitoring and doing those iterations. You learn through teaching. When you get the iterations of writing more email, everything gets better. It speeds up the pace at everything you do because you're getting more and more feedback loops. Every single email opens up a feedback loop for you to learn more from. It's a new opportunity to learn and discover something about your audience by that constant iteration. So, I teach mastery. Memoirs of Mastery is my coaching program. And, mastery is about iteration. That's really it, and when you learn, like if there's nothing, when people think of like masters, they always think of like Kung Fu master, right? It's like almost synonymous, right? Well, if you look at any of the martial arts masters, they'll tell you that they're still learning. And the more you think you're a master, the more you really learn. And that's what this is about. It's that yin yang of teaching, learning, opening feedback loops, getting responses back, tightening those feedback loops up, practicing the constant iteration. And it's a huge driving force in your business. I don't think there's any way to learn how to market your business more effectively than writing constant daily email. I really don't.
I agree.
So that gets us to our third and final unforeseen benefit of daily email. And this is you just get faster. If you, one of two things is going to happen, Jonathan. One of two things is going to happen. You're either going to stick with it or you're going to give up.
Oh, simple.
That's it. You're either going to stick with it or you're just going to stop doing it. Now, either is acceptable for me. I believe in failing forward fast. I call it F3. It's what I teach in some of my coaching, but I believe in failing forward fast, meaning that if you're not sure if you're cut out for the entrepreneurial world, then go fast and go frenzied. And failure is okay, but fail forward. Fail by learning something. Fail by learning what you're not good at, or fail by learning what you would be better at. Fail forward. Learn something positive that you can take from the failure. Don't be afraid of failure because you're going to fail all the time. You're going to fail all the time, but fail forward. And if you're going to fail and you're going to go forward with it, you might as well do it fast, right? You might as well go do an email every day and find out after, a couple months, this just is not what you want, then dragging it on and writing an email a week for 10 years and never getting any good at it and never getting any results at it. But because you're doing so little, that's not how it works, right? You don't become a Kung Fu master by just walking up and writing a check and say, yeah, I'm ready to be a black belt now. Yeah, I know it takes 10 years, but I'll just give you 25,000. How's that? Can I just be a black belt? No, you got to do the iterations, right? You've got to get the mastery. And as you do it, you get faster at everything you do. So the speed is really what we focus on in Berserker Mail, right? Like everything that we've designed in that interface is designed around speed, because I know that it's not about whether, see, here's a big misconception. People think that speed is related to efficiency. I don't believe that. I believe it's related to effectiveness, because most people look at speed as if I can just get a little bit more efficient, I can do a little bit better, it's a little incremental gain, and and they focus on that aspect of it. And then there's truth to that. I'm not discounting that. But I look at it differently, because having coached thousands of students in, business and entrepreneurialism over the past couple of decades, I can tell you that it's more important than that. It's not about the efficiency. It's about do or don't. It's about success or failure. Because if you drag things out and it takes you 2 hours to get an email out or 45 minutes to get an email out because the platform you're using is so cumbersome, and you've got to drag images, and you got to do these pretty little columns, and then you've got to futz around with this, and then you got to do a preview, and then there's 14 friggin' clicks. I've literally tested platforms that are 27 clicks to send an email.
Yikes.
Like I'm literally having PTSD over, the little owl and how many clicks to the center, or how many licks to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop, right? It's like 1-2 crunch, right? I'm looking at that poor little bastard owl. He's just dying featherless at 150 years old, trying to click his way through half of our competitors' products. It's just atrocious, right? So what happens, it's not about that we can save all of that time or make it iteratively faster. It's that if you go down that route, you're probably going to hate it so much that you're just going to fail in your business because you're not going to do it. It becomes the difference of do or don't do. It becomes a difference of success and failure. And so to me, speed is directly related to effectiveness, not just efficiency. And that's why I am so focused on speed of execution, speed of everything. And, it is just obvious in our platform. Like everything is geared around speed. You just from the very moment you log in to Berserker Mail, it's indubitably obvious to the most casual observer that we're about speed. Because as soon as you log in, we don't take you to some nonsensical graphical chart to make you feel pretty and stroke your ego about how many emails you've sent and what the openers and the clicks and all the stupid dashboard kind of nonsense. We don't take you there. The moment you log in, we take you right to a send broadcast screen. Right. You're here to send email.
I felt it yesterday. And this is so funny. I thought about you yesterday because I was working on some stuff, and I had to use one of my other email things because that's what was hooked up to the automation. And I went in there. I just needed to write a welcome email. And I'm like, good God, this is taking me longer than it took me to build a whole funnel to write this damn email. And it's because you spoiled me, because that's it. You go in, you write an email, and you're out. That's what's awesome about it. It's like, this is software for sending email. Duh, right? Nothing else. And I love that.
I mean, it's obvious Adams stuff, right? I mean, it truly is, which everybody knows the saying of obvious Adams, but how many people have actually taken the time to read it? That would be kind of obvious, don't you think? But it's freely available. You can find the PDF online. I actually narrate it and give it as a bonus book inside of my memoirs because it's so important. Understanding the obvious that people don't do anymore. They just don't focus on the obvious. Berserker Mail is truly an obvious Adams, platform. We focus on the obvious. We focus on getting your emails out quickly, fast, consistently, and honestly, by not putting a whole bunch of features in that you don't need.
Thank you.
Because
thank you for that.
It just wastes your time. Yeah.
I was so frustrated yesterday. I'm like, Troy's going to love this. Let's do a recap real quick.
All right. So that's all I've got, though. We've got the 3 unforeseen benefits. We've got lots of content for reuse and everything that we can learn through teaching. And what I mean by that is just all the exercises, all the feedback that get created, as well as all the different products that we can create from the learning opportunities that we get through the iteration of it. And lastly is just how much faster you get at the process when you practice the discipline and the consistency of frequent email.
Man, so what do you have coming up for us next time?
Next time I'm going to talk about a topic that I always get a lot of pushback on, and it's you're gonna enjoy this one a little bit because I've heard you whining and moaning about this too. So, and that is a question: should I write my own email, or should I have somebody else do it for me? Should I just pay somebody to write my email? And so that's a question I get a lot, and I'm kind of looking forward to diving into that and blowing your mind there, Mr. Jonathan. I'm going to blow your head up like a little Martian on Mars Attacks. It's just going to go splat.
That'll be beautiful.
And no Burt Baccarat singing. No Burt Baccarat.
So that is a wrap for another Go Berserk with Email show. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Troy, for dropping the wisdom. We will be back in your earbuds next time.
To get a free Berserker Mail test drive with no credit card required, go to startmytestdrive.com. From there, you can play around inside the platform without pressure. Load up emails and campaigns to see how simple the interface is, and get comfy with everything before deciding to join. That's startmytestdrive.com.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.